Welcome to our Afluencer podcast. We've got an influencer interview today. We've got Taylor Elajas, an entrepreneur, entertainer out of New York. Taylor's got 20 million ventures, hats that he wears. We're going to ask him about. He's going to share those with us today. Taylor, welcome. We're going to get into your, as I mentioned, million different things in a moment. First, just general welcome. Great to chat with you live. And can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background?
Hey, well, great to be here. Taylor Elajas. I get down and dirty expeditiously. You know what I'm saying? So when you get down and dirty expeditiously, you gotta also eat uniquely. Okay, and that's really part of the EBN way. We have EBNTV distributed by Roku. We have the EBN Eats magazine.
That's on Roku. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So what's the history? Not to all of a sudden interrupt my first question there, but what's the history on EBN? Love to hear that background.
Yeah, so EBN is Elajas Broadcast Network.
Okay.
And it's a production company and where I had the idea to really just have the ownership of my own content. And this is around a time where, and I'm not really down in YouTube's business model, but there was a time where I didn't really like that there was taking a percentage of me putting together all this content, right? So that's why I ended up making my website and I turned it into like a whole cable network type of situation where I was showcasing my own content and people that would check it out were coming into my, broadcasted content. Right. So then with Roku, that came about in 2021 to where, I was able to broadcast it where if you have smart TVs or Roku devices, you can type in EBN TV. I mean, got a whole bunch of different shows over there.
Yeah, we can get you. Okay, cool. So take me back then. How old were you when you started with YouTube? Just getting on there. And I assume, everyone starts with YouTube, right? Because it's easy. It may not be the most favorable as a creator, as you quickly discovered. But how old were you, and how'd you get started with YouTube?
So I got started at YouTube. I debate whether I say 16 or 17, but around 17.
Okay, yeah.
I started posting videos, and I was actually showing people how to make money on social media before I actually even made $1 because of the research that I'd even done up to that point, and also the experience of just doing things. Where I started off with like a sports blog, and me and my friends, we were writing about sports, and I ended up being a writer on a Portland Trail Blazers fan blog. And, so I started in the internet in that type of way. Even, I was making Instagrams for no reason from 2011, just randomly making different Instagram accounts.
Are you from Portland originally? How are you writing about the Trailblazers from New York? Were you from Portland originally?
I'm actually not from Portland, but shout out to the Blazers. I was a big Brandon Roy fan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Roy supporter. Shout out Dame Lillard.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Word.
Awesome. That's great. So then that evolved into you got your YouTube channel going, and then you see that they're making the money and you're not, essentially. So do the smart entrepreneur thing. You start your own channel. How'd you get a hold of Roku then? That sounds like a big effort to get a hold of. I mean, they've been around for a while. That sounds like maybe you got to slice through a lot of red tape to get in. Is that fair to say? I'm interested to hear that story.
I wouldn't say I think everything is on the other side of a Google search is what people fail to really recognize. It's the age of the internet. You feel me? Any majority of the questions you may have, you can look it up on Google. And that's something that I did myself, to where, you can figure out how to get in contact with people in certain companies by just finding out their LinkedIn's, or just, like even the mastering digital marketing, I say, is ultimately how I was able to do that. Just knowing how to get into past those certain walls that they try to put up. Like in person, if you're trying to go up to a building, right, it's probably going to be a security guard like, oh, why are you trying to be here? Right. Online, that wall is really not there. So there's different ways to go on these platforms. And you actually, if a person has enough content and productional value, the average person with a production company can be able to get a Roku channel. It's just, once again, other side of that Google search.
Yeah, I gotcha. So you found, it's a great lesson. So you found the person behind the wall, if you will, on LinkedIn, the individual responsible, or you just kind of worked your way. You didn't have Brandon Roy or Dame Lillard make the call. You're on LinkedIn. You found the individual or people there. Worked for Roku and reached out.
Everything is just about reaching out and just gathering the knowledge to, do it. But at the end of the day, it's also not meant for everybody either. So whether you have the information or not, maybe it's just not for the individual. But I also have that production company, like I said, EBN TV. So I was taking those shows and I wanted to be able to broadcast it and have one of my goals was also just to have EBN be a household name where, you know, people can watch it on TV. And because I really, I won't say I have a short attention span, but, you know, I would rather shows over movies, right? So I always watched a lot of TV shows growing up. So I wanted to be able to produce my own TV shows and have it where it's like there's content constantly going where if you want to be able to be entertained, you can be entertained, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you on that front with the, you know, I'm in dad mode where you get the kids to bed. We're not pulling up a full movie, but TV is perfect, right? You pull it up, stream, you get that. And also during the day also, I've never been one to like carve out 2 hours for a movie, but if you can hit the short form, right, that's kind of what you take in. So tell me about EBN Eats. Is that the new food recommendation magazine, TV show? Tell me about it. I didn't get a chance to get into EBN Eats on your site beforehand.
Yeah, you know, EBN Eats, we getting down and dirty expeditiously. You know what I'm saying? We eat uniquely EBN Eats. You know, everybody got to eat, but we outside. And I used to do food photography back in 2017. And I was actually one of the individual that did content posting on best food feed. You know, I've been told by somebody that was around the time of like a lot of the OG foodies starting. So he called me an OG foodie. I ain't make it up. He called me one of the OG foodies. But I will say that I
can't argue though. You get called OG foodie. You just got to go with it. That's
you know awesome. What I'm saying. I'll take it. I'll take it. You know right. So we have a few years down the line, right? I ended up getting into doing interviews with chefs, and because I'm already an interviewer, so I started, you know, just bringing that world into it, and then doing food reviews with it. And so now I turned that concept and tried to add my entertainment value to it. So, you know, I feel like I'm an individual that's bringing extra spice to the concept of being a foodie, which sometimes for people is just in their head taking videos of food, putting it on CapCut and uploading it, you know what I'm saying? But I try to really provide some type of entertainment value to make it, you know, so I also do like mukbangs with public figures, and I have them try food. I go try food, you know, and I just try to really, I'm adding the whole content space into restaurant marketing, which I, you know, outside of even being the content side of it, I'm also a business and marketing individual. So, you know, I understand that you can't just be the artist, you have to be the individual that knows how to push the work as well. So, you know, I took that concept, mixed it with restaurants and food, and just trying to get people to really eat better, eat unique eats, you know what I'm saying? Like I be eating like, you know, octopuses and kangaroo, you know, you're trying to do different things that maybe the average person doesn't know what it tastes like. You know?
Yeah, very cool. Are these New York restaurants that you're going into?
Yeah, so like you said, that a lot of it started in New York, but actually recently just came from Miami. We got some content out there and really just spreading it out now. And you know, my audience spreads out throughout the United States, not only just in New York, but I will say that a lot of so in the EBN Eats magazine, it is this the summer issue is based on the restaurants in New York, and so was the spring issue. But when it comes to fall, it's always going to be New York. But winter, hey, you might see some Miami restaurants in there, but we traveling to go with it. You know, so we outside getting down and dirty at all places. It starts one way, and you got to expand it. You know.
That's great. Do you let your followers, your fans know when you're heading somewhere? Hey, I'm going to be in Miami or be at this restaurant.
It depends. It depends. So
yeah,
it depends if it's like a public event type of thing. I do things with my community where I bring them together for food festivals or dinners, or, you know, I also bring like influencers together and do influencer dinners. And so I actually released a burger called the EBN burger with Schmackwich in New York. And we did a whole influencer dinner, and I had a bunch of public figures come and try the burger. It was like customized to what we wanted to put in it. And we also, a shout out to Gruntswork Meat Company. They provided grass-fed Wagyu meat, you know, Wagyu meat, excuse me. So, you know, and that tasted great as well. And we had a bunch of influencers come try it and took a bunch of videos and stuff like that. So, you know, we do try to like feed the community, and, you know, I'm always giving back and whatnot. It's not just us eating, you know, everybody got to eat, you know, everybody got to eat.
Yeah, I'm fascinated also that you still have, that you see value in the print magazine. And I still get a couple of my magazines sent to the house, and kids love to, run into me and make fun of me for still having a print magazine. But I love it because we're on screens all day. I want the print. So as a publisher, do you find value then? I'm sure there are logistics in terms of getting this stuff to print. There's a time delay, there's work, there's a lot of work on your end versus just publishing it to a blog, to social media. But I assume you find value then in publishing something into print form yourself?
No, yeah, for sure. So a big thing with me was that I wanted to have an answer for whatever way somebody wanted to ingest content, right? So, you have digital, you have audio, you have print, and then you have broadcast TV. So my thought process with that was that I want to have a solution for somebody's entertainment problem, right? So a lot of people are going through things in their lives, and entertainment is a way to kind of just numb your brain and just not think about something for a minute and just be able to laugh and enjoy. So that was something that I really always saw value in from young, right? So I was like, you know what, I want to be able to have for whatever audience. Because my audience spans from kids to 50, 60 plus, right? So can I really try to make like wide ranges of audiences in different genres, right? So, with that being said, you have like the digital people who are going to be there on their phone. You can follow our various social platforms and whatnot. And then you got broadcast TV. You can watch it on EBN TV on Roku. Then you got the print, EBN Eats magazine. We have some other magazines in works as well. But, for people who want to see those visuals and see those photos and get those descriptions and stuff like that. And then you got the audio. We also have the Mercer Boys podcast available on all audio streaming platforms. So, however we want to ingest content, we want to be there to provide that for you,
Yeah, across the whole spectrum. That's great. So you kind of wear both the hats, right? The influencer where you're working with the brands, but you're an entrepreneur and you've got your own brands. Have you worked with influencers wearing your brand hat to help promote EBN Eats, you name it? I know you got the new cologne product we got to get into. How do you work with influencers, again, just putting on your brand, your CEO hat? How have you worked with influencers in the past? How do you plan to going forward?
So actually with the EBN Eats restaurant marketing service that we have, we do a lot of influencer marketing, and we've run 5 viral marketing campaigns thus far, about 5 to 6 and more in counting, saying still have one set up. But so we tap in with a bunch of foodies who, and just overall creators, lifestyle creators as well. And we do specific data analysis of audience and engagement, which is really a lot of the main important part of it, not just, follower count or what have you, who has engaged audiences that's really going to convert. So that's what we do, where we kind of match up these creators like, yo, you should make a video there. That'd be dope. You should make a video here. That'd be dope. And we've done various viral campaigns for All Stars Bar and Grill and Everything Grilled and Antojitos. So, we put together these influencers campaigns that really is led to conversions where we're trying to get real traffic into these restaurants and these businesses so we can increase. But it's not just about food either. It's a whole structure and how it happens where, we're really trying to do content marketing, like it's an important part of the world right now. But a lot of people don't necessarily know how to truly market what they're putting out there and doing. So, we definitely do work with influencers, and we spread the whole, it's a whole movement rather than just something that is trying to be kept to ourselves,
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I hear what you mean. I mean, it's marketing itself feels like in the last few years, it's been a snow globe where it's been shaken up, and a lot of even experienced marketers we talk with, they're kind of confused now because the stuff that used to work, Google AdWords, Facebook, it either doesn't work, or I want to say it doesn't work, but it's more expensive than it ever used to be. And it requires kind of this creative approach, like you said, where it's the same principles. Hey, this is who I'm trying to reach. This is my end customer. How do I best reach them? But that's not necessarily an obvious playbook. Like, hey, I need these foodies who are in this town maybe to drive traffic to this restaurant. So if we use your restaurant influencer stuff as an example, are you looking for local foodies to drive traffic because it's local based, or are you having success on a national level of finding people who can work with EBN Eats and promote these restaurants? What are the mechanics of that in terms of how you're recruiting and finding and engaging these influencers?
I'd say it's about the creator themselves, right? Because yes, you could be making content in this specific genre, it could be working well, but say maybe if you were transitioning into making other types of content, it wouldn't do as well. But regardless, it's about the creator and their ability to make those videos and care about what they do, right? So if a creator cares about what they do, it doesn't necessarily matter what type of genre you're making content in, right? So, but say just with foodies, right? That transition also comes where like they make spa videos, right? So say I got a spa that I want to tap them in with because I know they'll make a dope video for it, and maybe it fits location wise and what their audience watches or what they relate to or where they live, so it's all about that as well. But even myself, I'm traveling out of New York making videos as well because, the quality of the video also matters, so it's not just even about location. If you just put together dope videos and you have an audience, which is a very large part of it, you have an engaged audience, that's really what matters, as well as your desire to put out dope videos and not necessarily just follow a trend of where, like, if you're able to combat what the viral trends are trying to throw at you to just do, while also maybe mixing it in, but having your own style. I look for a lot of stuff like that where, it's really all about the creator and the influencer. I really do prefer the word creator if you're really on like a creative aspect. You kind of, depending on what kind of, content you put out, you may warrant that term.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, we actually did a poll in the app, I think it was a year or two ago, to influencers. So, people like yourself, do you want to be called influencer or creator? It was close. Influencer edged out 60-40. It's been, I'm sure you've noticed this with your multiple hats again. From a mechanic standpoint, more creator is appropriate, right? Because you're creating content. The classic influencer was just this kind of celebrity, which almost gave the space, I don't want to say a bad name, but I think from a marketing standpoint, it was tough because people blew a lot of money with celebrities who didn't have a focused following. And that was that. We still see with the brands now, even smaller brands, they want the influencer. For whatever reason, the creator word hasn't stuck with them. So it's something that, it's a tricky one, kind of using interchangeably, because from different perspectives, we always try to relate to both the brands and the influencers and the creators on that side of things. So are these people then, are they already on your radar, Taylor? Like you're following them on TikTok, Instagram, because you're in the space, the foodies, and that their engagement is high because the quality of their content is high. Is that how you work? You're following people who are interesting, who you might want to work with, and then you're always on the lookout for more. Just really interested in hearing your kind of pipeline, I guess, if you will, from the recruiting standpoint or partnership standpoint.
So we do have a roster of creators that when they put together a dope video that works well in the campaign, it's like, okay, now we feel comfortable being able to put you in other situations and see how you work with that, right? Outside of the roster,
gotcha.
Outside of the roster type of structure that we have, we also just run a big community of influencers, so to speak, and public figures that we connect and put into these different types of situations, right? Because like I said, we're always shooting different kinds of content, right? So I also work with Chunky Boss Chicken in New York, and we do like public style interviews, right? So we have a person that, they're dropping a song and need some promo, right? Let's do a video, or this person has an engaged audience that may want to watch them eat food, because that's like something that's dope nowadays and is actually expanding outside of even the concept of foodies, right? So I've even had successful food eating videos with people that weren't in the specific foodie space, but also just have general influence, right? So it's really just about, if you have that general influence, you have that engaged audience, taking the time to actually build that and not think that, that the quick success is what lasts and sustains, because it's not the thing that's going to get you paid on a consistent basis. You might get the people that don't know what's going on and they'll just throw you money, I guess. But, if you have that, engaged audience, then, that's what really translates to not only that specific brand that's maybe trying to book you for something, or even me, it just applies in a general sense. You'll get money from wherever,
Yeah, it's a great point on the engagement. That's something that I think the on the brand side, the merchants, they're starting to figure that out, that the engagement matters. They don't yet know that does vary in terms of the number of followers, right? So a common question I get is, hey, what's a good engagement rate? And that's one of those like, well, it depends, right? Right. What industry are we talking? Are you looking for micro, right? The more followers you have, that percentage, which I'm sure you look at, that, goes down over time, which is natural. So it depends, but it's good that the brands are starting to, I think, look for that and realize it's not about the number of, a pure follower count is almost meaningless without the engagement, right? As you point out. So do you find that spills over or translates into these different industries? Because you review not only food, but clothing, hotels, music, sports, video games, apps, cooking products, sauces. I mean, you've got the whole portfolio here of all the essentials. How do you gain credibility from you start perhaps with food, EBN Eats, the restaurants, and then into these other industries? And I think you touched on that with the spa. Hey, if we review this type of food, this can also, because it's the same end customer, maybe, right? They're eating at the nice restaurant, they're going to the spa. But if you could describe how that works in terms of gaining your credibility in these additional industries.
So, okay, cool. I'll take you along the timeline where like I the influence I can start to build along, right? So it actually started in sports and basketball specifically. I had like I said, sports blog, and I was studying sports journalism as well. I even going back to high school, I was the sports editor of my newspaper, and always loved playing basketball. People always like recognize me as a person that loved playing basketball and stuff like that. That was one of like my passions and pastimes. And even when I'm trying to, clear my mind, I love to just, play some basketball. But, I was also a realistic person. I knew I'm not going to the NBA though. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not like training and practicing since the age of like 9. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't doing that. I just enjoy playing basketball a lot. I like studying it. I used to be on Basketball Reference, just looking up people's stats for no reason, just because that's like the stuff that interested me, But it's college. I was still studying that, and I ended up starting like a movement called Balls Life Mixtape, where I would shoot basketballs behind my head, shoot paper balls behind my head, stuff like that, and had a whole community of people on Snapchat literally mimicking me and doing that type of stuff. So it got me to the point where I actually was in Bleacher Report, and I did that and have a picture of it, whatever. But so in sports, that's where it started, where I was, people gave me that credibility as a good basketball player. So then when I'm talking about it or speaking on it, they respected my opinion. I even got a part of a campaign to have a show on this Instagram page that had millions of followers at the time called Wave TV. And this is like very early into me even starting to make videos on Instagram at the time. And I think I recently started YouTube and making reaction videos, stuff like that. So along the way with the sports, I realized that unless you're Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, or a former athlete, you're really probably not making that much money. And that's just realistic. It's okay. If that's not your desire, then that's not your desire. But I wanted to have a certain lifestyle that I don't think being a sports journalist was going to feed me. And like, the transition in certain, this is maybe a new era now where, maybe it takes less time to get to a certain position. But at that time, I could see that it was going to take way longer than I wanted to wait, So out of that, that's when I also started to create the EBN platform, and I started doing interviews. And I would like go to people's concerts, or I would throw my own events and do interviews, or go to people's events and do interviews, interview the people that do the event or the artist, or whoever just had a platform that I wanted to tap in with, I would go pull up on them and do interviews, So outside of that, transitioned into me getting deeper into the music world and doing more music journalistic type of things, and also interviewing artists still and being part of like people's press runs and stuff like that. And I was a music reviewer and a playlist curator for a good amount of time. And so that's also where my credibility came into play, because I'm really like, I was getting paid to review songs and give them like authentic criticism. Right. And I was even making like kind of dance reaction videos on Instagram, and I was doing like vertical reaction. A lot of people do that in their shorts nowadays, where they have like kind of top and bottom, where they'll have like a music video playing and then they'll be reacting to the video. I was doing that when Instagram was just IGTV and they wasn't doing reels. I was doing that type of vertical content from then, or putting myself in a box and having the bigger video, So I really always tried to just keep reinventing how content was made in my own space or what have you. So with outside being a music curator and players reviewer, music reviewer, and stuff like that, like I said, was doing food photography, and then started to take the interviewing and just start interviewing chefs. And then I also started to see in the food world how people were doing review videos and they were gaining audiences like that. So like, okay, I should start doing those type of videos. So I started doing that type of video, and then I honed my own unique style. So I wasn't just copying these people who were just going to restaurants with their phone and putting together like an 8-second video of food and it's going viral. Like, I'm like, that's cool, but it wasn't really. And something that also is a fact about my content experience. Growing up, probably even in like the mid-teens of 2000s, I was not going to eat at a restaurant if it didn't have Instagram. Because that means in my head, you don't care about showing me what the food looks like. Like if you don't want to show me what the food looks like, because sometimes you can't trust the words on the menus. Okay, so like they give you something completely different than what you ordered, and now you're upset. You paid $30, $40 for it. So I need to see it. At least let me get some kind of experience. So outside of doing the food videos, and that's when I also started my digital marketing agency around that time, where I was doing marketing for influencers, models, clothing brands, just businesses in general. So I took that model and I brought it to the food world. And then that's when I started implementing the influencers while also doing my own type of videos. And then that's when I then brought in the music world. So I already had access to these artists, and I still have a bunch of PR friends that they need, people to go to along their press run to do content. So now I'm doing mukbangs with them. So I'll have you also review the food with me, and just mixing those different worlds that maybe wasn't brought together at one point. And I'm trying to, bring it together. So.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I could talk to you forever about stuff you've done, stuff you're currently doing. I'm already running long just because I'm fascinated by the Renaissance man aspect of what you got going. So let's look ahead then, Taylor. What's next for you in terms of next steps and maybe challenges that you see, and no doubt you will hop over these hurdles going forward.
Well, I'm really trying to branch out of even being seen as a New York reviewer, or I want to really even branch out of the concept of being an influencer or something. I really just want to be seen as a creator and serial entrepreneur that, really appreciates content. And like I said, with my various content pillars in EBN, audio, digital, broadcast, and print, I'm really trying to just reinvent how people think about being a artist or a creator. And it doesn't have to come from just being in music as a rapper or something like that, or trying to be an athlete. You could really just turn your personality into something that can be backed by a brand, and you can turn views into currency. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, whatever I do next is always going to be in that line. But, I do got the fall magazine on the way, EBN Eats.
Nice.
We got the fall magazine on the way. We also always be dropping podcasts of the Mercer Boys with a Z podcast. You know what I'm saying? We have the Boise cologne. You can go and tap in on the EBN Wear Instagram. The link is in that bio.
Is Boise's live now?
Yeah, it's live.
Okay.
You can, go ahead and tap into that. Boise, that's the cologne. We also have a perfume.
You got the cologne now. The perfume's coming up. Is that right?
Perfume's coming up.
Okay.
Definitely got the perfume coming up. So I want to maybe be able to tap into all audiences. But a lot of people do say that the Boise, whether it's a man, woman, animal, whatever, they like the smell. So I mean, Boise can be considered unisex, but I will say originally was a cologne. We got more clothing on the way, EBN Wear. We trying to get into also putting on some more artists as well, because I was big in that space, and I took a kind of step back. But I do love music, and I want to also maybe see a different transition into R&B in the music space, make a larger impact in the current space. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately just trying to release more products, put out more videos, put on more people, and just show people there's a different type of life that they may not understand exists.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you're kind of one of your core tenets, insights, I think, is you put your face on everything, which is awesome. And that is something that I think a lot of, shall we say, earlier stores, first time people, they're hesitant to. They're hesitant to put their face on, and they may have a good looking website, right? It's run by Shopify or whatever, and it's a very clean looking website, and there's no face to it. There's no personality. And that's one thing that I always see looking is like, hey, who's behind this? Like you've got a story, you've got a face, tell it. You do a great job of that. I mean, you're one of the best at it. So I think that's a great lesson for everyone listening and watching is, do what Taylor does on that front. So Taylor, thanks so much for taking us through. We'll have you back on with your future launches, because we'll always have a million things to talk to you about. For now, can you let people know how, and I know there's a million avenues to get a hold of you, but how people can find you, follow you, EBN, all that good stuff. Just give us a few of the main avenues there.
Man, for sure, you can go ahead and type in Taylor Elajas on all social media platforms. We've got Instagram, Taylor Elajas live on YouTube, Taylor Elajas on TikTok. Not Tyler, it's Taylor. People confuse that. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? We can also check out.
Really? That's funny. Yeah, no, that wasn't. Yeah, no, I mean, I had to ask you how do you pronounce your last name, but I would never. It's clearly Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah. People constantly. It doesn't make sense to me. I ain't gonna lie. But we also have the Jersey Mike's comedy special on EBNTV on Roku, where you can actually see me talk about the whole Taylor versus Tyler thing. You know what I'm saying? But we also have EBN Eats on YouTube. Go and type that in, and you can see us eat good foods. Also see some high quality photos on EBN Eats Instagram. But type in EBN or Taylor Elajas. You'll probably see a lot of stuff.
There we go. Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much, Taylor, for joining us on the Afluencer podcast. It's been great. So Taylor Elajas, Elajas, any social media platform, EBN Eats, all that good stuff. Thanks again, Taylor.
All right, thanks for having me.